Hey y'all, just wanted to take a minute here to shout out to my hubby for always keeping my kitchen clean. I remember of seeing something on TikTok. This guy was like, listen, do all the cooking videos you want, but make sure your kitchen is clean. It is something that I do take really seriously. I can't claim to do it all myself. Actually, I don't clean my house at all. My husband does all of the house cleaning. Funny story, not really funny, but way before he ever met me, he ended up in the hospital with food poisoning, and the doctors told him, they were like, well, it can come from a lot of things. It can come from food that's expired, meat that wasn't properly prepared, or it can come from having a dirty kitchen, like not keeping your kitchen clean. And ever since then, he's always been obsessed with having a clean kitchen. Me too. And when we met and we moved in together, he was like, you don't clean the kitchen. I clean the kitchen because I want to make sure that it's 100% clean. And I thought to myself at that moment, am I the one that gave him food poisoning? No. Am I going to fight for the right to clean my kitchen? Also no. I want to give him a huge shout out for always keeping my kitchen clean and for actually cleaning up after the disasters that are Foodie Fridays. So thank you, hon. You're the best. Well, what are we going to be doing with all of this today? Well, today we are going to be making vegan cheesesteaks. So when I moved down to the Carolinas from Pennsylvania, I was living in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, it's on the main line west of Philly. Most of you probably know Lancaster for the Amish, for the farmers markets, all those happy good things. But the inner city of Lancaster is very much like the inner city of South Philly. There's a lot of things there that emulate Philadelphia. One of the main things being sub shops and steak shops. And steak shops are not serving T-bones. They are serving thin cut ribeye, sliced down, grilled onions, maybe grilled mushrooms, maybe grilled peppers with cheese, no Italian sauce, and no lettuce and tomato and mayo. Those are California cheesesteaks. That's fine. Or it's an Italian cheesesteak, but the Philly cheesesteak doesn't have that nonsense. It is cheesesteak with onions, with peppers, maybe mushrooms, and some sort of either cheddar cheese sauce or a cheese whiz sauce. All of those things are meat. So today we're going to veganize all of it. If that sounds like something interesting to you, then stick around. This is Foodie Friday.
Hey, let's just alles get faded. Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing obviously that we have to figure out is what is going to be our meat. And if you're vegan, quite commonly, the meat sources that you're going to turn to are tofu or tofu based. One of the greatest things that I have discovered lately is yuba, which is harvested in the process of making tofu. The tofu squares that we see that, like this, those kind of packages. So when they're making the tofu and they're aging the tofu, they're heating it. They're heating the soy milk and culturing it, and there's a skin that forms on the top. That skin is harvested and turned into these. They are dried bean curd rolls. We used them for our vegan chitlins. So if you check out that video, we're going to do the same thing with those. We're going to simmer them in some water. We're going to add some Knorr liquid seasoning. Yes, all this stuff is suitable for vegans. And some mushroom soy sauce. I think what that's going to do is give these bean curd rolls the flavor of beef. The other things we're going to use for meat, we're going to try, this is also yuba. It's just in a different format. It's already rehydrated and it is refrigerated, but you can often find it in your Asian market frozen or refrigerated. I bought this frozen, thawed it out, and these are just sheets. So I'm gonna chop that up. The first thing we gotta do is start those bean curd rolls because they take 20 minutes to actually cook. I'm gonna put in about half of this package I am going to take this Knorr liquid seasoning, go over these dried bean curd sticks, because the other thing this stuff is like, very much like beef flavor. This is the Healthy Boy brand. We have a fantastic market here, Asian market, that I buy a lot of my vegan stuff from. You probably have a local Asian market, and I'm just putting this in the bottom of the pan. I'm going to kind of put a layer of it. And because this stuff is so concentrated and salty, we are obviously going to add water to it. Okay, I'm also adding in 1/2 of a bell pepper and 1/4 of just a regular Spanish white onion. All right, then we're adding 2 cups of water, and we're going to let that simmer for 20 minutes. Our bean curd rolls are cooking down very nicely. They've got about 5 more minutes to go. I'm going to take the lid off of them now and let that cook down so that we get sort of a concentration of those liquids in the bottom. So it's going to be a very concentrated brew there of the Knorr's liquid flavor, the mushroom soy sauce, the peppers, and the onions. So if you've ever wondered if I had a helper in these videos, here she is. This is Nyx. She is my American bully, and she generally sits right outside my kitchen and watches me cook. If you wanted to check out more of her shenanigans, she is Night Goddess Nyx, NYX, on Instagram, and today is no different. She's just sitting here watching me cook and probably trying to figure out how much of this she's gonna get later. Here we are. The bean curd rolls are done. I've tasted them, and yes, they taste like well seasoned steak pretty much, and we're just gonna let them kind of hang out there, chill out a little bit. I want some of the moisture to come off of them, let them set up so that I can chop them. We have broken into these soybean skin spring rolls. And I gotta say, very interesting. These have a really interesting texture. And I feel like if I chop them up, they're not super thin. I feel like if I chop them up, I'm gonna get some nice, pieces that would be like, kind of like those steakums that you get to make cheesesteaks with. So that's our next thing that we're gonna do. So there's 2 different kinds of cheesesteak, and I'm not talking about Pat's or Geno's. When I lived in Lancaster, there were 2 different kind of shops. There were shops that when you went in and ordered a cheesesteak, they would pull out fresh, thin sliced ribeye, and they would put on the flat top and cook it and do the whole thing, serve it fresh like that. There was a place called Captain Gus's in Lancaster that did it that way. They had the best cheesesteaks, and I believe that they're not there anymore. I believe they may have changed hands, but actually I think they were the best. They were the best sub shop, cheesesteak shop, I think, in Lancaster. And then there were other shops. There was a place up on East King Street where they would just sort of cook up the meat ahead of time and leave it sit in a warm corner of the grill. It would just sit there all day and become like a big ball. And they would just chop off pieces of it, the big ball. And they would, when you order a cheesesteak, like they would pull some pieces from that big ball of meat that was already cooked, reheat it, put cheese sauce on it, and that was a cheesesteak. I'm not gonna say that those cheesesteaks were not good. They were okay. I mean, and if you were really hungry, they were usually the shops that were much, much cheaper. So you could get like a 12-inch cheesesteak for like $6. We called them chop chop here because that's what they did with the meat. Chop, chop, chop on the grill, put it in a roll, and here. There's a difference between a fresh cheesesteak and chop chop here. Because of the nature of these meat substitutes being chopped up, they're gonna come out a little bit more like a steakum, which would be like chop chop here, than they would come out like a thin sliced ribeye. So let's talk about the cheese that we're going to use today. I have 2 other types of cheese that I'm going to try with this. Both of these are from a company called Follow Your Heart. And one is their American style slices. This is not sponsored, by the way. The other one are their cheddar shreds. So when you make cheesesteak, there's a couple ways you can go. You can mix like real cheddar cheese in there, mix it all together, and then the meat becomes coated with the cheese and the peppers become coated with the cheese. And then you put all that on a bun and serve it. The other way is to put American cheese on slices or cheddar cheese slices on top, and then either steam them on a flat top so that the cheese melts, or you can pop them in a salamander or what you might call a broiler or pizza oven, so that that'll melt the cheese down on top of the steak. That's what we're gonna do with our American slices. But for this one, we're gonna take our cheddar shreds, we're gonna take this yuba and we're gonna do that kind of cheesesteak, where we're gonna cook up the yuba with some grilled peppers and onions. Then we're gonna put the cheddar shreds in and we're gonna coat everything with those cheddar shreds and we're gonna put them on some bread. Okay, we're back to our pan. All right, I got my chopped up yuba here. It's kind of these thin strips, but I think I'm gonna go in with a little bit of this stock, as it were, from the previous thing. And I'm going down with this yuba in there. That stock's going to cook off pretty fast. I'm going to go in with some onions and peppers. Onions and peppers in there. Normally, they're usually cooking the onions and peppers together with the meat. I'm going in with a little bit more of that liquid seasoning. Throw a little bit of that mushroom soy sauce in there. I feel like this is gonna come out like a cheesesteak. I think this cheesesteak is done. Holy moly, look at that. That is, okay, look, I wish I could push this smell to you. YouTube, could we work on that? Because this is smelling hella good. And I'm really surprised. All right, so this is one way of making a cheesesteak, right? You put the cheese in with the steak, and you stir it around, you get it melty, and you get it to coat everything. These shreds kind of don't melt. But, no, they're doing all right. They are doing okay. They're doing about the same thing that any other shredded cheddar would do. That looks like cheesesteak to me. I'm putting this on a roll right now. Now we're gonna take a bite. This seems like a bit much, but I'm gonna try to go for that like little corner right there. I'm gonna also go over my sink. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's a cheesesteak, y'all. That's a vegan cheesesteak. That's a vegan cheesesteak. That is a vegan cheesesteak. That worked. I'm shocked. My son came down. He tried it. He's loved cheesesteak. He don't even like vegan food. He loved it. He was like, you nailed that. We nailed that one. Next up, what we're doing is we're taking that marinated and cooked, rehydrated tofu rolls. We're going to chop them up and we're going to do that as a cheesesteak. We're going to do the American slices from Follow Your Heart and we're going to put them underneath a broiler and melt that down. Hopefully it melts. And we're going to try cheesesteak that way. All right. Now in this case, the yuba is already cooked, so I don't have to cook it. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to start my vegetables ahead of time because they're going to take a little bit longer to cook. While they're cooking, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chop up my my tubes. Grab some of these tubes, chop them up into, sort of cheesesteak type pieces, I guess. These are the ones that we simmered earlier with the peppers and onions and the liquid flavor from Knorr. This is because these tubes are sort of long. This is going to come out a little bit more along the lines of the texture of the strips of ribeye. One thing what I would recommend is if you're going to make this, so go ahead, get your vegetables done, get them sauteed up nicely, then turn your skillet up to high, and then that way it allows that tofu skin to get sort of seared up like meat. It gets brown. It kind of gets browned on the edges. We've got the batard on here. We're going to take this, scoop it out. All right. We're going to take a slice of this vegan cheese from the company Follow Your Heart, again, non-spun. I'm going to put that on there. And I'm going to stick it under my broiler. You gotta be kidding me. I don't even believe this. I'm having a hard time with this. You can see there that cheese is kind of melty, kind of not. I'm gonna give it a try. Let's just see how this came out. I didn't have any faith in this product, and so I was like, I'm gonna have to put that under the broiler to melt it. But I was wrong. It melts actually very nicely. It's melted down into the cheesesteak, or melted down into our steak. And so now I'm gonna give it a bite here. Oh my God. That is really, oh my god. Oh my gosh. Let's start with the tofu rolls. They cooked up really nice. They have a nice firm texture of real ribeye that's been done correctly. Right to about the medium rare point, that's their texture. And so very easy, obviously very easy to chew, but so is ribeye when you do it right. This one, again, I am absolutely blown away that this is as good of a cheesesteak, vegan cheesesteak. Did not think that was going to be a thing. Did not think that was going to be a thing. I hope you guys have fun hanging out with me. And I hope wherever you are, you're having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, a great night. I hope that you're taking care of yourself and I hope that you're taking care of each other. I hope you liked our cheesesteak. And as always, I'll see you in my next one. Bye, y'all.
Ey, ey, let's just get faded. Let's just get faded. Yeah, ey.